As we embark into the new year, it's natural to think about setting goals for oneself. But what if I told you that you don't need goals? You need robust systems, processes, routines, and habits that will make sure that you can accomplish whatever you set your intention to. In this video, we'll be talking about systems over goals to make sure that you can make your year count. First, let's clarify what we mean by systems. Unlike goals, which are specific objectives that you are focusing on, systems refer to routines and processes that you identify which will guide your actions and decision-making consistently. Unlike fixating on a specific endpoint, these become the structure of the container within which you lead your life, so that as long as you consistently follow through with these commitments, these habits, processes, and routines, you're bound to reach your successful outcome. Many of the leaders I coach have been thinking about the goals they want to set for themselves and or for their teams. So it's interesting if we think about one of the goals could be about, I really want to be productive. I want to amp up my productivity in terms of what I accomplish at work. Okay, if that is the goal, first of all, it's not specific enough, but what is the starting point? The starting point may be, well, I mostly spend all my time in meetings and building my people, but in terms of tangible strategic projects that I forward, you know what? I don't know. They happen when I am asked to do that, and it kind of happens on the fly. What if the intention was that on a weekly basis, you are going to block just maybe 3 hours in the entire week? So if you work 35 hours a week, which a leader does, but let's say you work 35 hours a week, only 3 of those hours are dedicated to do strategic projects only. And if there is not a strategic project, it's about the thinking work, about taking that pause to take stock of what is working well, where do you want the team to go, and how can you maximize impact in your role. If you don't pause, you will constantly stay in that rhythm of going from meeting to meeting, putting out fires without being strategic and mindful about where you and your team is going. So if you were to just focus on the goal that I want to be more strategic, well, what does that actually mean? And what are you doing on a daily or weekly basis that will make sure that you can get there? This would be an example of creating a committed routine that on a weekly basis, that 3-hour block will not be interrupted. Let's take another example. What if there is a leader who wants to stop the overwhelm and burnout that comes from constantly managing their staff because they're wondering if everybody is doing the work that needs to be done? Are they feeling supported with, whatever they need? Instead of that generic goal that I want my team to be productive, or I want my burnout to be reduced based on the amount of time and worry that I spend about my team, what if you introduced a system, which would be, again, this is a weekly example, that in your weekly or bi-weekly meetings, there is an expectation that has been clarified for staff members that every single meeting they must come and share 4 key things. 1, what were their key accomplishments over the last week, 2 weeks, or the month? 2, what are the key activities that are coming up? 3, what are the things that they need from you as a leader? So whether it's a decision, a resource, connection, whatever that may be. And 4, what are the risks and or concerns that they can foretell in terms of the challenges that may come up in accomplishing the tasks or activities that they will be doing in the next week, 2 weeks, or a month? That simple structure and an expectation that every single staff member is bringing that information to you relieves the pressure of always worrying. Now, if you have 5 direct reports and you see across 5 direct reports what they've accomplished, you can recognize them for it. What's coming up, you can start seeing the interconnections about maybe there are opportunities for the 2 of them to work together. Or if 2 of them are going to be impacting one of the client groups, instead of bombarding that client group separately, could they integrate and have a synergistic approach so that the client is also not overwhelmed? Thirdly, you don't have to wonder about what your staff needs. They're actually telling you. if there is a decision or a resource they need from you. And last, as a leader, it's your job to make sure that you're managing risk. And how you manage risk is not by waiting for the risk to occur, but anticipating and preparing for that. Well, if the staff member has thought that through, and with that dialogue, you're going to be identifying any additional risks. Now you have a systematic approach to making sure that everybody's supported and your team is making progress on the goals that matter. Instead of a goal that, oh my God, I want to support my team or not feel overwhelmed, this system is going to lead to that outcome of you feeling less overwhelmed, more confident that your team is supported and doing great work. The last example I'll give you is usually one that a lot of leaders set for themselves. It is related to reducing overwhelm and being more productive, but rather than being focused on their teams, it's focused on them. Well, then again, if the goal is that you want to feel more in control of what work you have to do, or feel fulfilled that whatever you set out to do was accomplished, the invitation again is thinking of a process. What if the process expectation was that every single Sunday or Monday morning, you're spending about an hour just to be clear about what are the key priorities for that week? My invitation or my challenge to you would actually be to really boil it down to one keystone priority only. And the reason I say that, and you may think, oh my God, there's no way that I can just focus on one thing. But what if you started challenging yourself, building a habit to see, yeah, there are 50 things that are happening this week. But you know what? I have the discretion and the wisdom within me to know that all 50 are not equal. There's this one thing that counts more than anything else. And as long as you are clear about what that one thing is, that will guide all your actions, decision making, your time management for that week. All of a sudden, you're not spread out thin trying to accomplish 50 things. You know where there is a disproportionate impact, and you will be focusing on that one thing. And at the end of the week, when that has been taken care of, whatever that's, the small or the big task was, you can feel fulfilled. You can feel that you have accomplished something. In motivation theory, we talk about progress principle. Seeing progress motivates you or inspires you to continue on. That's why we talk about quick wins. But if you're spread out too thin and you're thinking about just the final end goal and missing out on what are you doing on a weekly basis or a daily basis, you lose that insight. And this example about the weekly keystone goal, are you clear about what needs to happen on Monday? What needs to happen on Tuesday? Because you're not just saving this goal accomplishment for a Friday. Thinking about systems and breaking it down into a routine that is happening on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly, whatever that frequency is that serves you well. Creating a process, the example we gave with the team, creating a habit of you setting that 1 hour per day or per week to plan. All these things ensure that you can be successful. I understand you may still be wondering, why would I choose systems over goals? Systems provide continuous improvement, adaptability, and a focus on the process rather than just the outcome. They create a foundation for success that extends beyond achieving a specific goal. And by doing that, it ends up contributing to your long-term growth and sustainability of your long-term plans, both for yourself and your team. And if the language of systems feels not as attractive to you, and you really like the language of goals, here is another invitation. Instead of treating all goals as equal, whatever your goal is, the final outcome, think of that as the outcome goal. And then what are the steps, the sub-goals, the process goals that you will set out that will help you get to that final outcome goal? Well, in common practice, they're also called the leading and the lagging indicator. Instead of waiting to see whether you're successful or not, if you can identify what needs to be done or accomplished at a certain set frequency, daily, weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly, whatever, It gives you the opportunity to focus on what matters, because if the goal is significant enough, most likely it's not going to be one and done. It's going to be a long-term investment in accomplishing whatever you set out to do. How do you stay focused? How do you learn that what you're doing is making a difference? How do you feel confident that your investments are going to lead to that outcome? That is only possible when you focus on the process goals. Few tips on how you can make the shift from goals to systems, or from focusing on outcome goals to process goals. First, start small. Instead of having 5 different goals, that can be overwhelming. That is a lot. That is taking up so much cognitive space. What if you had one goal? And if that is too drastic of a shift for you, maybe have some category goals. The most resilient people have buffers. Their entire life is not just fixated on their work. So have a work-related goal, but also have a goal around relationships or family or whatever feeds your soul from a social connection perspective. Have another goal which is totally about you. It could be about building expertise, that you're going to continue to learn and engage with all the new research that's coming up so that you are current and competent in the work that you do. Or it could be about a certain hobby that you want to develop. It could be about your health and well-being. So if you decide that you need more than one goal, the invitation would be pick a few categories. Let everything not be just about work, because life has ebbs and flows, and if work is less productive, is less fulfilling, you need buffers that will carry you through. And if you've not invested in other parts of your life, you're not going to be as resilient. So that shared spread across different categories makes you anti-fragile, which means it makes you stronger and ready and prepared for whatever may come. So start small as much as possible. Secondly, be consistent. Goals, shifting that language from goals to systems, the biggest gift it gives you is it makes it very clear about what needs to be done. Instead of not some future situation that may occur once the goal is fulfilled, systems give you actions that need to happen at a set frequency. And all you have to do is consistently see those through. If it is a daily habit or a weekly process, doing that on that rhythm is going to build the confidence that you will accomplish the set out goal. And the third part is leverage. Leverage the adoption of these systems to be able to evaluate by measuring whether you are consistently accomplishing your set out targets or not. When you adhere consistently to these new habits or processes or routines, and the lessons that it will generate in terms of what's working well versus what could be changed, or what's not worth the effort, or maybe giving you ideas about what are the other ways you could accomplish what you're really, trying to work towards. Rather than fixating on that one end goal, maybe you start seeing there are multiple ways, multiple futures of how you can get to what really matters. This focus and constant evaluation of how things are going allow you to pivot as needed, so that at the end of all this effort, you feel that you have been successful, not just in accomplishing what you set out to do, but also in becoming the person that can see their goals through. It's a shift when you start seeing that if you set out a certain commitment to a routine or a process or a habit, that you will follow through. It builds your own self-trust. There you have it, the power of systems over goals. I hope that as you work towards what matters to you in 2024, these tips can help you propel towards feeling much more resourceful and confident in accomplishing what matters to you. If the tips in this video were useful to you, please do like and subscribe to my channel and share it with someone else who may be on the journey of setting their goals so that they can have a focused and successful 2024 and beyond. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.